Madeline Pryor used to dream of a life stolen from her. Huh. Ain't that some shit? You know? What you expect from Steve, though, man. I mean, like, you also are somebody that literally kind of had a life stolen from you and Madeline, but that's besides the point. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Steve Fox coming up here pretty soon, but that ain't tonight in this particular quest. This is the questionnaire. I am the unknown factor, aka that Wade Wilson of hip hop, right? And man, firstly, it's been a pleasure. Everyone I've had the show on so far, I just want to say thank you that's joined this quest. We're past the year deep. We're over 70 episodes. I don't know the exact number. And tonight, tonight's gonna be intriguing. I already know, right? Because we're gonna get into big rigs. We're gonna get into some wrestling, and we're gonna get into some of the puppies. Yeah, because there's quite a bit when you got Andy Animal in the house.
What up? What up? How you
I did
doing,
it.
buddy?
I did that whole intro, and I was like, man, I ain't gonna try his last name. I fucking done goddamn forgot.
Said it like a million times. Yeah.
It doesn't matter, bro. Look.
Oh, you're reading some X-Men over there.
Yeah, New Dark X-Men.
Yeah. So our big thing right now is me and Carl Kerschel, the guy who sits next to me, who's like a 30-year vet in comics. We're so bored with movies and TV that we got back into collecting comics, and we're rebuying all of the Uncanny X-Men slowly. So today I read, while Carl was working, I read him Uncanny X-Men 200, The Trial of Magneto. And peep this, there's a part right at the beginning, page 2, where there's this dude called Alpha Mutant that straight up turned Magneto into a baby. And Magneto gets turned into a baby, and Moira McTaggart finds him in his helmet, little baby Magneto in a helmet, and then he grows up really fast, and she's like, he's 30, but everyone draws him like he's 50. Still has white hair. And then he goes on trial, and they're like, he can't be guilty because of the fact he got babied. So when I see Chris Claremont in New York at New York Comic Con, I'm going to be like, bud, what's up with Magneto getting turned baby and getting acquitted because he's got turned baby? That sounds like the best thing I've ever heard. We've been laughing about it all day. Magneto turned baby, man, acquitted.
I mean, so you think that's what? Do you think that's what Trump would have to do to get out of the situation he's
Yeah.
currently in?
So this total jagoff's got to come into the courtroom and use mutant powers to baby him and then grow him back up, and then he'd get off. Magneto.
Well, Trump, if for some reason you're listening, you know how to get out of the situation you got yourself in now, at least.
Get yourself instantly Benjamin Buttoned all the way down to babydom. Oh my God, that's funny. That's super funny.
I don't remember that. I mean, I kind of vaguely remember the trial of Magneto. It's been a long time since I've read that.
Yeah, he goes on trial in France, and all the French are like, freaking out because he gets off.
I mean, in all fairness, that's a pretty terrible dude as far as the things he did, and you let him off and you acquit him because of that. Like, I mean, it's not like Magneto killed 5 people and that was it.
No, he killed a ton.
Yeah, I don't want to. I know, but that ain't the point of all of this, man. But yeah, I totally check out that Dark X-Men. Like I said, we got Steve Fox coming on here in just a little while. But what I want to get into with you, Andy, right off the bat, because you got brought up recently on a show. Shit, I think it might have been PanCon. I don't know. There's a lot out there. Y'all go check them out, whatever platform you are. There's a lot of episodes with a lot of great guests as well as Pancons where we're getting in depth on things. But you specifically got brought up because when I look at Mother Trucker, right, and in reading it, one of the things that I find the most intriguing about this story, I hope I'm not giving too big of spoilers. I believe this is an issue one, um, where everything happens, and then she ends up looking for a rig, and she ends up in the ring trying to get a rig, and she's fighting, and her best offense is pulling her breasts out, and people flip out, Andy. They flip out like she just shot someone in the face, point blank range, with a damn bazooka. Okay, like they flip
Yeah,
out. Now, in comparison, the violence in that, I mean, it's pretty heavy. It's pretty like let's let some people die and whatever. Is what you did there a social commentary?
yeah, entirely. That's the whole. That's all Mother Trucker is about. Well, it's about a lot of things, but the main thing, the main theme of Mother Trucker is we're totally cool with like dudes smoking kids in a school with a machine gun, but you whip out a titty and we're gonna freak out. We're just gonna lose it. And my favorite part is like my friends will be like, come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh man, yeah, how's that going? I mean, you just do titty comics." And I was like, "I wrote that comic for you, you idiot." That's the point. That's the point. Is like the second anyone sees that, they freak out. But any amount of violence, and it's like we're just whatever. Okay.
I love you for that, Andy.
Yeah,
That is
man.
wonderful because I do think it's something that's very odd, especially in North America. Overall, the fact that there is such a demonization of any kind of sexuality, yet we glorify violence to such a high degree. You know, it's very odd, and I
Tolerate
mean,
it
yeah,
and tolerate it. Like
yeah.
totally tolerate it, but like we will not tolerate any form of nudity. Um, it was actually the comic was also actually meant to be. It was originally just going to be called Truck Off, and it was going to be about Big Rig, the wrestler at the beginning of Mother Trucker One, just running around wrecking fools as a trucker. And then I went to Italy and spent a year in Italy, like living in Florence, Italy. And you just walk down the street, and it's just every statue's, hot naked people. They have a completely different outlook about sexuality in their comics. You know what I mean? It's not something to demonize. It's just, in fact, most of the time, it's something that's funny. It's most of the time it's funny. Like if you pick up like a Manera comic, like a black and white Manera comic, sure they're over the top, but like at the same time, it's a comedy. Like he's poking fun. And then the other thing for me is when I was 13, I remember I was obsessed with X-Men. I was obsessed with Spider-Man and Venom and all that stuff. And I hit about 13 and I just saw one of Simon Bisley's covers on a heavy metal magazine in the back of the store. And that was all she wrote, man. My entire pull list was gone. And all I collected was heavy metal and anything Simon Bisley did. And then it opened up to me getting into Mobius and Manera and Serpieri, especially Serpieri, and then meeting these people. And like to this day, Biz is like one of my buddies. Um, so I talk to Biz, every couple of weeks over Whatnot, and we table together at shows and stuff like that. And it's pretty wild, man. That guy was like my hero as a kid, and to grow up and get to talk to him like he's like, I don't know, my like crazy uncle in England. It's pretty sweet. And he's a wild man. Although he's calmed down. When he goes to shows now, he works. But there was a time when like I would go to a con, and if Bisley and I saw each other, like the second we saw each other, that was the rest of the weekend. We're gonna be hard drinking for the rest of the weekend.
Oh, well, we're gonna get back to Mother Trucker, but now I just gotta know what's your best convention story then?
My best convention story? Oh my God, I've that's like being put on the spot. I have millions, and I'm a shit disturber. So it's like my mission to get in trouble at cons. Like, and I don't mean like when I say get in trouble, like I don't get to see my dude friends a lot, like other guys that I'm friends with in comics. The only time I get to see them every year is at a con. So when I go to a comic convention, it's just like it's like, okay, boys' weekend, let's go party and have a good time. You know what I mean? But like we get ourselves into trouble, for sure, like all the time. But some crazy stories. I've kidnapped people's Eisners. That's fun. Like they win an Eisner immediately, and I steal it, and then take it to the bar and take photos with it down my pants. done that. What are some other ones? I mean, I was best like one of Darwin Cook's best friends, and Darwin Cook and I used to like get into some hairy adventures and bar fighty situations and all kinds of stuff like that. He was like being friends with Wild Bill Hickok. So him and I used to go out and we'd get in trouble for sure. Oh my God. I remember one time, this isn't necessarily, it happened at a convention. So all my friends were in Toronto for the Toronto convention. Here's a story. And there was a bar down the street from my place in Toronto. I live in Montreal now, but I used to live downtown Toronto on a Little Italy on a street called Grace. And beside that street is another street named Clinton, with one of the best goddamn bars in the world called Clinton's. And Clinton's is just down the street from Kiefer Sutherland's mom's house. So Kiefer, when he wasn't on set at 24, used to come to the bar all the time because I don't know if you know anything about Kiefer, but Kiefer likes to party. So I used to see Kiefer all the time at Clinton's. So this one time, it was a convention, and I had a bunch of my buddies over, and one of my buddies, I don't know what he was thinking, but he had the worst white leather jacket. Like, I hated this jacket. and we're all at the bar, and I walked in pretty drunk. And then when I got there, like an hour later, Kiefer walked in, and he had already had a few. So my buddy was like freaking out. He was like, "Oh my God, it's Kiefer Sutherland. He's David from Lost Boys and Young Guns." And I was like, "Yeah, like my favorite vampire movie ever." It's not the first time I've hung out with him at Clinton's. So he's like, "Oh." So then my buddy's like, "I gotta go to the bathroom, but when I get back, can you introduce me?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem. No problem." So he goes to the bathroom. I take his white jacket. And I go up to Kiefer. I'm like, "Kiefer." And I was at a con. So I was like, "Here's a Sharpie. My buddy is like, he's your biggest fan, man. Can you sign the back of his jacket? Like the whole thing." So, like humongous signature on the back, signs his white leather jacket with like marker. It's not coming off. It's permanent. Like it's not coming off. So he gets back from the bathroom. He sees his jacket hanging on the bar stool. He's like, "Fuck you, Kiefer." Starts getting all mad at him. And we're like, hey. That jacket sucks anyway. Come on. And Kiefer's laughing. He felt so bad. He was like trying to offer him money. And I was like, whatever. And then he told us the craziest story where this toy factory, I think it was McFarlane, was making the 24 action figures, right? So they sent him the prototype. And him and his buddies, I think this was earlier in the night, sent him the prototype for his 24 doll, right? And he brought it to the bar, and they were like laughing and burning it. And I think they ran it over, and they were like literally like melting the face off with lighters and like just destroyed it. And like he told me like a few days later, the toy company called up, like McFarlane was like, "Hey, did you like the prototype?" And he was like, "Prototype?" And like, "Yeah." He was, "It was great, man. It looks just like me. It's amazing." They're like, "Can you send it back? It's the only one." The guy spent like 6 months on it. so he had to be like, well, he kind of burnt it. That was a good story. That was a good story. I mean, like, there's a million good stories. A lot of the stories in the Cook days were really, really good. Things are a little tamer now. A lot tamer. Come on, in modern comics, like with the crew, like the new kids, the new kids in comics are like the new kids in wrestling. So if you ask Ric Flair, what's the difference between the kids and wrestlers now compared to when he was wrestling? He'd be like, we'd be at the bar, pounding beer after an event and like probably some drugs. And now the kids just go back to their room and play video games. That's the difference. So you're not getting a lot of crazy con stories anymore.
That's very interesting to me that they coincide like that between the two.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Southern Ontario, like near Toronto, and you grow up kind of, lower middle class, and me and my friends went out from the time we were like 13, 14, 15. You didn't play video games like all night or sit on Twitter or whatever. You went to a coffee shop and smoked cigarettes and just shot the shit like.
And did something dumb.
I went out every night from the time I was like at 15. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I would finish my homework and then I'd go out. And I think maybe Sunday night was the only night I didn't go out to hang out with my friends.
And this is how you ended up hearing about Keith Sutherland burning the face off his prototype. Andy, that's...
Well, yeah, because even that story, which is like, God, like 16, 17 years old now, there wasn't a lot of that stuff to like keep you at home. You wanted to go out to the bar every day or every night or whatever.
So let me say, you got any recent ones? Like, say, in the past 5 years.
Oh, I don't know.
Just stealing Eisners and shoving them down your pants?
I don't remember doing anything like that. I know Mike Cho and I got a little loopy, I think last year and at Heroes, or it was the year before. We were tearing all over the hotel in our underwear. I remember. I remember that. I did it up in North Carolina. So now when I go to cons, normally I'll drink with my friends pretty heavy, like the first day to have fun because I haven't seen anybody in forever, so I'm really excited. And then the rest of the weekend is a little bit less. So I'm pretty sure when I in North Carolina this time, as soon as I got a little drunk, I was wrestling everybody. There was a lot of wrestling matches happening.
I feel like you have an unfair advantage in that, Andy.
Yeah, I do. I do a bit. Yeah.
A bit.
Yeah.
A bit. Like I've watched a little bit of your matches, man, in IWS, and
oh yeah.
I feel like if it's you against just somebody else, and all they are is a comic book professional.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna win. There's a few that are pretty tough. My buddy Eric Vetter, who works at Warframe, he's a pretty skilled martial artist. Big guy, looks just like me. I fought him before. It didn't go well. Dan Panosian is a pretty big, tough guy. And, I mean, Ron Garney's, like, legendary. I wouldn't go near Ron Garney.
So you're the guy that will start a fight at a con. I understand.
No, I won't start a fight.
Okay. You're the guy that will stomp somebody out for being a dick at a con. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I've got a con story. What's his name? Saga. Brian
K. Vaughan.
Brian K. Vaughan. Years and years ago, he had a like crazy stalker. So when I would come to New York Comic Con, he would like come up to me and be like, "Hey, can you come up for dinner with me tonight?" And I thought, "Oh, it's because you think I'm amazing at comics." He's like, "No, it was just to protect him from his stalker." So I ended up being a bit of a bodyguard for Brian K. Vaughan a few times. And that guy ended up coming to one of his panels and stabbing one of the other panelists in the eye with a pencil. That's the last of him.
Wait.
I wasn't there for that though.
Okay, that's funny because Stephen Grant was, or no, he was at the con that year. He was in the panel before. Man, I hope it was Steven. I
Did he
swear I
see it?
got this. Huh?
Did he see it?
No, apparently, but he was. It happened like right after he left the convention because it was Hall H, right?
Yeah, I was there. I
Yeah,
was there, and someone ran up to me and told me it happened.
I'd never heard this story before. Very recently.
Yeah, that guy's crazy. He like had all this fan fiction about dragons,
Mm-mm.
and I think the dragons would like date each other and whatnot. He was a big dragon fan fiction guy.
It's just interesting to have heard that story for the first time fairly recently over here in the questionnaire. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it was the PanCon with Caitlin, Stephen, and Wells, if memory serves me proper. Uh, which we do a lot. I do a lot of shows over here, so I might not be 100, but I'm about 90% on that it was Stephen where we were talking about that with with Caitlin and Wells. Um, which great PanCon. We discussed comics and film and television. I highly recommend you all go check it out. But I didn't know that was the stalker of Brian K. Vaughan that did that. Like,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was that guy. Yeah, he was like trying to find him at home. He had death threats, like, and I'm not talking like Twitter death threats. He was like I think to the extent of like mailing letters to him, and like I don't know if he showed up at his house, but like over the top stalking, like legit, like you know, in the line of fire, kind of stalking.
well, then, just out of
Yeah,
curiosity, was that caused by the book that Brian was writing in the saga? Do you know?
I don't know. I
Or,
don't know
or
if
was
that
it just
does
like,
at all.
okay. I just didn't know if it was like, because some people look at saga and, right wing assholes will be very blah, blah, blah towards it because it includes everything that it does. I love Saga for that. Saga's a great book. If y'all ain't reading Saga, I highly, highly recommend it. So I was just curious if it was what he was writing that caused that. You know what I mean? And in that was going to loop it back around. Do you ever worry about something like that with Mother Trucker was what you're doing because it's very much a social commentary on many a thing from, ostensibly having to fight for a job to really be able to thrive. Like it's almost literally a physical battle to be able to get to where, you can actually be middle class or upper middle class at this point in society based on the fact that we let the elite just get more fucking elite. I swear to God, they ain't fucking the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. I'm really sick of that shit, right? Sting. Come on, I love AEW. What can I say? But
Yeah,
fucking yeah, they're not, and as well as the fact that you're talking about nudity in comparison to violence. Do you ever worry about that you're gonna have some, right wing nutter just, you know, with you in a
I
fucking
don't.
scope?
I don't think so because I wouldn't say my book's even particularly hardcore against right wingers. It's more against billionaire assholes. And at the end of the day, my thing with like hardcore, you know, like that kind of thing is, you know, it, in a lot of ways it's been duped, like into believing rich assholes staying richer. Now, let's face it, this is the oil company. Before that, it was cigarettes. It's just the oil company like spending as much money as they can to like prolong them having a business.
It's what made you originally, because you said initially you weren't gonna introduce the nudity. So initially it was just, Big Barb being a badass and it was more social commentary about oil companies. Right? And then
Yes.
you added the element of nudity. Is there anything else there I'm missing? As far as you having a bit of a commentary on something, I don't. It, dude, it's been. Look, I read these comics when you were supposed to come on the first time. When you ended
Yeah.
up on some other fucking podcast. Like,
You know
wait, real
what?
quick.
Oh, hey, you know what? Like, kudos into like picking up that there is like a shit ton of social commentary in Mother Trucker, because most people, I don't know if they do. It's like they just get like mesmerized by the titties. You know what I mean? Which is a selling feature. And for me, comics should always feel a little dangerous. I don't like a comic unless it's dangerous. There's nothing worse than me picking up a comic, especially modern comics, and they should be an action comic, and I pick it up and it's 20 pages of talking heads about something that is just so dry. You know what I mean? And you could use action to do it. It's poor writing, and it just drives me crazy. So, I dig that you picked up on that stuff because, it's all there. I think the big thing with Mother Trucker is it's kind of like, it's definitely a commentary on the poor versus the rich. It's a commentary, and like on the other side, right? The super, 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 super far left are the ones that are against, in comics anyway, are the ones that are against nudity. The big tits, the big guns, and all that stuff. They're the ones against it. What's funny is they don't realize they're acting exactly like Nancy Reagan from the 80s, who was hardcore right wing. I'm like, you're doing the same shit as the right wing did in the 80s, but you're doing it now. So that's why when she takes her top off, the whole crowd is going, boo, gross, oh. So the idea of Mother Trucker is because she is a woman at a time. She comes from the Attitude Era in the 90s. So she's like Sable. And she just woke up now. Can you imagine Sable woke up from the 90s, walked into the ring, tits out with the black handprints, and everyone's like, whoa, pump the brakes here. Whoa, this is WWE. We don't do this. That's Mother Trucker. She's a woman at a time. At a time where,
Andy, that was
I also find it just kind of funny. I'm a satirist. I'm a big satirist. And I find satire the most fun. So if you're reading my comics, you got to know that every page is I'm working on a satire every page. I'm poking fun. I'll poke fun in everybody in that book. Everybody. Everyone's getting made fun of.
I mean, yeah. In reading it, I would say that's very, very, very true. For everybody who wants to go check it out, there's a link in the descriptions, by the way, to go check out as far as what we are talking about in Mother Trucker. If you want to get a real in-depth look, or maybe you just want to see some really nice drawn tatas, it's all there. I promise. All right.
But I'm also a pro wrestler, so the wrestling's all real. I'm pulling out moments of wrestling that are completely poignant to the wrestler when we're executing the moves.
Man, you stop bringing up 6 questions all at once because I'm just going to rattle them off and make you answer all of them. Because, like I said, you're making some great points. No, it's fine, man. It's a quest, and that's the way it goes. I already know it for a fact, and the way my brain works on the regular rightly don't help anything. But that's neither here nor there. But as far as writing satire, what made you desire to do that as far as compared to a straightforward commentary? And when you sit down and write Mother Trucker, what to you is the most important thing to make sure gets out there with what you're doing?
I mean, that's the biggest message, is that we are completely complacent with violence and sexuality is demonized. That makes no sense. That's something that really makes me angry. That just doesn't make sense to me. It's just ridiculous. Let's say, a lot of religious groups, they hate anything that is LGBTQ. But I mean, if you see a nude woman or a couple on screen doing something, you hate that too. What is happening? And then the other thing is, if I put it in a comic, everyone loses their marbles. But then they all go watch Game of Thrones and it's all good.
That's a very valid point. I don't see how Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones, I think, there's, and maybe it's the fact that it's put in a medieval type situation. I feel like people, for some reason, when it's put in a medieval type situation, people seem to be far more accepting and to let it slide. I mean, you say that with
that's weird. I never thought about that before.
Yeah. I mean, look at every piece. Titanic is an example. That was historical, right? You've got Game of Thrones. You've got the movie Troy was very sexual at points. There's Rome is very sexual at points. There's
Rome was hard. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I know
I
there's some
never even
instances.
thought about that. If it's a period piece, it's all good. If it's modern, contemporary, it's like, hey, slow down now.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I don't know why it runs like that. Because at the
Yeah.
same time, in those period pieces, you can have massive amounts of violence, and that don't matter either. But it's like it's for some reason they give a little bit more leeway towards sexuality in period pieces. I mean, if you look at Dead Romans, that just dropped. If you, I don't know if you have, but it's a great
Yeah, I
book. I
know those
recommend.
guys.
Yeah, I recommend you all go check it out, as well as Nick and Fred when they both respectively been on the show. And I think they're
Fred
getting
rules.
ready to
Fred's
have.
a buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Fred's a crazy cat, and I love him for it, man. He's always a
He's
pleasure to
a
have
radio
on.
host.
Huh?
He's a radio host in Toronto. I've been on his
I
show.
I didn't know that until
Yeah.
fairly recently. I was like, oh, no wonder this all makes sense. And then the Mud 79 he does and all that. Yeah, really good dude. Like I said, then him and Nick and everybody over there made a hell of a story for in Dead Romans, which I mean, hell, a pack of who's involved in that has been on the show. Go check them all out. But yeah, and I don't get that, man. But if you do, if you made it to where it's like in the modern era, or if it's in the future, it's a different line,
Yeah, it's weird.
right? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Like all the comics that I read as a kid were sci-fi and had nudity. Most of the movies too. So I don't know,
Different
man.
era.
So I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know where it comes from. It's like a modern thing. It's like a. I think what happened was there was a big movement with. I always mess up her name, Rihanna Tagmar's Smile, where she started making millions doing YA. Then all of a sudden, everyone got real bent out of shape about any kind of hint of sexuality. Now, like you take Frank Cho, and he was doing those Wonder Woman covers, and everyone was freaking out because Frank Cho likes drawing cheesecake, but like his Wonder Woman covers were the farthest thing from cheesecake I had ever seen. Like, and they freaked out over it, and it made no sense. Or like when they were trying to cancel Manera for drawing Spider Woman, but now if you go to the shelves, there's like a few female artists that are doing work that is so crazy, over the top, sexual on covers of Catwoman and stuff, and it's all good, baby. It's all cool for them. So why is it okay for females to be overtly sexual as artists in mainstream comics, but you're going to go after the master Manera, a genius artist, a once in a century artist? That doesn't play.
I mean, look, I don't have a reason for that. There's a lot of things that I look around as a society as a whole, and I truly don't understand. Like, look, I'm way more under the impression that the police would probably be in a better situation publicly if they used like a pair of tatas as the reference to them as opposed to the fucking Punisher
Well,
logo.
here, hey, shoot him in the leg, goddammit.
Yeah,
Shoot him in the goddamn leg. What is wrong with y'all? You're always 6 feet away. You're always 6 feet away unloading a clip. Like his leg, dude. Like you might not hit the artery, maybe not, but like, why do you immediately go for like I'm gonna like throw 6 shots into his chest? Like, no, just shoot him in the leg, man. If I was a cop, I'd be the leg shooter. Oh, Officer Andy, he's just taking out legs like crazy. Yeah, but they all live, and we don't get sued much. Well, probably a little.
well, yeah, but I mean, if you have a situation where there is true violence from the suspect, and all you do is put a round in their leg, I'd like to think that's way better than 3, 4, 5 rounds in the chest. I mean, you can be all right from a leg
Yeah,
shot.
I mean, let's say he's got a knife, or you think it's a knife, and you shoot him in the leg, and his family's like, "Hey, you shot him in the leg," but he's alive. You can have him back, or he's going to jail.
Like you can have him back once he gets tried and probably sentenced for trying to stab me, y'all. right? I don't know, man. We as a society have so many very, very odd lines. But let me ask you this.
Paris. In Paris, this cop just unloaded on this kid who was sitting in the driver's seat. And I mean, he's like this far from the glass. I'm like, what? Why were you trying to kill him? Like, you didn't have him on anything besides a traffic violation.
The funniest thing I think about that situation is a lot of times you hear like, oh, they were afraid for their life, right? Now, let me ask you something, Andy.
You're a cop.
Well, no. Let me just ask you something, right? How long did you train as a wrestler before you had your first match?
Oh, well, my place is quick. It was probably like first real match.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a lot of practice matches before I actually had my first real one.
Yeah, your first.
You ready?
This is Heather Anto.
Hey, what's up? This is Alex Cormack.
Hey, this is Rich Dueck.
I'm Sebastian Piris.
Hey, this is Wells Thompson.
Oy vey. Yeah, I am Dalton. I'm Dalton Shannon.
If you read comics, I've probably worked on them.
I'm the illustrator on Breath of Shadows, Road of Bone, Sea of Sorrows, Crimson Cage, Sink, Weed Magic, a zillion other books, Kill and Hope, and the upcoming The Devil That Wears Your Face and Drive Like Hell.
You can check me out at rdueck.com.
Working on Exorcist Never Die with Steve Orlando and Carlos Mangual from Mad Cave.
Writer of Mechaton, available now.
I'm a co-writer of Mechaton as well.
It's on the QUESTionnaire with new episodes every week. It's the best.
Make sure you check out the QUESTionnaire.
Do it.
I hope you check out the QUESTionnaire. There are new episodes every week.
Whenever it drops.
At all of your favorite podcast solutions.
Check it out. It's the best.
Make sure you watch the QUESTionnaire. New episodes every week.
This will disgrace any other of your favorite movies.
I'll do it. I'll do it too. I'm coming after X-Men.